Hey, what's up, everybody? I wanted to put together a couple of videos for you. Well, I wanted to do one video where I just show you all my tools and spreadsheets and everything like that, but it's going to be way too long, so I'll break it up into two videos. This will be the first one. I'm going to walk you through some non-spreadsheet related stuff like the browser, tools that I use, extensions, the websites I frequent, that type of stuff. And then we'll have a separate video for the beasts that are my spreadsheets. And and so this will be the first one. I wanted to record this at nighttime because that's often when I'm doing a lot of research. And so I got my beer, so feel free to grab your own if you're watching this. I don't know how long this one's going to be. The spreadsheet one will be longer. But what I'll do is I'm going to pop up. I got a green screen, so I'll pop up the green screen and share my screen. I do the green screen so I don't take up so much space on the screen, right? Basic Stream 101, right? So I'll do that, and then I'll just walk you through some of these browser things, again, the websites, and then, hopefully that acquaints you with some things, and then when you join the stream, get a little bit more background about my process. So let's just hop right into it. Okay, let me share my screen. Actually, I'm going to pause. I'm just going to pause. I'm going to pull up the green screen, and I'll hop back on. Next time you see me, I'll be sharing my screen. All right, there we go. Got the green screen up, good to go. And let's just dive right into it. You can see the screen right in front of me here, or behind me rather. And browser of choice is Chrome. And reason number one for that is because of the Google Sheets. My whole process relies on Google Sheets. Once I realized how powerful they were, they got the Google Finance functions, of course, right? And I was just able to have so many functions and features that they have that they turned out to be super powerful for my needs. And once I had those sheets, I kind of just built my process around that. And then Chrome just has a ton of really cool, what I consider cool features that when they had first come out, at least I thought only Chrome offered them. But now it could be that all these are pretty standard across browsers. I'm not sure. I didn't investigate. But I'm just going to show you some of the stuff that I use in Chrome. Again, number one is for the sheets. So we'll dive more into sheets in the second video of this tools series. And in here, we'll focus more on the browser. And I'm going to start with just some basic Chrome features that, like something like bookmarks, right? It's so silly that I would even mention bookmarks, but like you got to have all your pages bookmarked, so you can't be typing stuff in. That's just silly. And then even something basic like if you start putting your bookmarks in directories and you can right click and just open all six in a new window, right? So silly, so basic. We're starting with the basic stuff. And you just use stuff like that. So I would use this, maybe not so much for news sites. I just use this as an example because I'll be honest, I'm getting a lot of news stuff from Twitter, and we'll touch on Twitter in a little bit. But so not so much for news, but what's a good example? So if I'm tracking company or fund reports at quarter end, it would be, where is it, funds. And I might just right click and open up a whole bunch of the funds at quarter end. And and I can just browse through what their holdings are. And so anyway, something simple like that. So basic, right? But that's really cool within Chrome. And I'm sure all browsers have that now. But another thing within Chrome are the search engines. So if you go to manage search engine, if you go to search engines here, maybe a lot of people use this already, but this is fantastic. If you don't use this, you have to use this. You go to manage search engines, and you can create your own search engine. They call them search engines, but it's just like shortcuts to get to a website that you want to visit. So let's say I wanted to check out the insider buying for Apple, right? I can just go OI, Apple, and then and boom, I'm there. You're not going to see much insider buying for Apple, but right there, I just typed in OI and then the ticker, and then I'm there. And you can do this for any website where the input where it's just a ticker. And then let's say I wanted to just go to Yahoo Finance for Apple, boom, and then you're there, right? So like there's a ton of these search engines, and you can customize these however you want. And like I said, I got gold, so I use Stockcharts. And so if I just type gold, boom, right, and I'm there. And there's something as basic as this. In a Bloomberg terminal, you got it. It's so easy in more advanced platforms. But if you're an individual investor, you don't have these types of tools, so you kind of need to build your own and customize it around that. And so I've done it for a whole bunch of websites and a whole bunch of securities or commodities, futures contracts, or whatever it is. And so you're going to see me, I'm going to have shortcuts to a whole bunch of the websites I'm going to show you, but definitely check these out. I don't need to spend much more time on these, but you got to use them. Super helpful. And my whole spreadsheet relies on this to a degree because we'll get to that. All right, so what else can I show you in Chrome? So in Chrome, I got obviously the extensions. I know other browsers have like add-ons and other things like that. In Chrome, I'm just going to show you a couple of the extensions. I don't have many, but the ones that I do have are really helpful. I got a couple standard ones, but the ones that relate to finance here, this is just browser width. This one's for everyone watching this video. I try to standardize my browser widths. Super helpful for spreadsheet videos. That's all that is. That's nothing really finance related. All right, so here's two big ones: context menu search and what's this one called? Search Center. All right, I'm going to start with this one. So this one's really cool. So let's say I come across a new ticker and I want to do some quick research on it just to get a feel for the company. That I'll type in. Let's do Apple again. I'll type in the ticker and then I click all, and then all those websites that I set, they open up for Apple. And this is actually pretty cool. This is good for this video because the websites you see here, those are most of the websites that I would visit to get my very basic analysis completed for a company. So you get FINRA bonds. That's so I can see the bond prices if there are any available. SeekingAlpha. Let's check out if there's any articles. At the SEC website, DEF. That's what I'm checking for to see who owns the stock. That's one way I check it. OpenInsider, insider buying. Moody's. Sometimes they publish or make their analysis public. And Twitter. I mean, everyone uses Twitter these days. I'll sometimes use it for stock research, as I'm sure many of you do. And then, again, SEC, WhaleWisdom. It's another website I use for ownership data. And Stockcharts. Stockcharts is what I use for checking out charts. So, yeah, just type in the ticker, and it automatically pops everything up. Like, you're going to see, like, how lazy I am with things like, is it that big of a deal to type in a ticker for each of these websites? No, not at first. But when you're tracking thousands of stocks, I don't want to be wasting time typing stuff in and pulling up websites. It's not a good use of time. So these little things like this, they add up. They accumulate over time. So wherever you can, you want to streamline this stuff. And this is a good example. So I'll type in a ticker, pull everything up, and it's that Pareto principle, right? 80-20. So I can do I could probably do 80% of my research just checking out these websites. And then, if I'm digging deeper, if I want to go in heavier into a position, or I'm really digging in, I'll do the rest of the 20% of the research. But for being honest, usually that 80% is adequate. So I can do a lot of it here. And so first I just start with the chart, checking out the chart. So I use Stockcharts. And like you saw too, I can do in the search engines SC and then the ticker. I can also go straight to monthly. SC10 is like 10-year monthly charts and so forth. So I got a whole bunch of search engines for this. And then if you do use Stockcharts, you got to save out some custom charts here, right? So like this is my 1.5 daily charts, and then I can do just 1 year daily, and then 5-year weekly. And maybe this is probably standard stuff for everyone who uses charts, I'm sure. But another thing of like, they just need to be, you got to be ready to go. And I'm sure this stuff is so standardized in more advanced platforms. But again, if you're an individual investor, you got to build this stuff out yourself. So my charts, I try to keep them clean. I'm not against like moving averages and stuff. I do like them, and sometimes I'll include them, but usually I'm just trying to get a feel for the trend. What's Apple, right? Good trend, right? And so I try to keep it clean. I use candlesticks. Usually I'm using candlesticks I don't want to get into a technical analysis video. Who cares? But who cares for the sake of this video? This video is about tools, I mean. And then I'm looking at RSI, and then volume. Usually just the chart in RSI. But anything else in Stockcharts? I'll use the chart lists. So you got to use the chart lists. I use them very heavily, and you're going to see this in the spreadsheet for sectors and industries. I'll group a whole bunch of tickers together. It's a bit of a manual effort, which is a drag, but for the most part, it's mostly done. Usually if I'm just updating something, I got to update the chart list, but I'll get into that later. But chart lists, that's another feature of Stockcharts I really like. And if I were to just show you automobile manufacturers, if you click on one, and you see very similar looking charts, and I can just scroll down. They all start with the sector ETFs. I forget. And then they get more granular as you scroll down. So I can see I want to pop up like entire sector and industries, and I'll do this more in the spreadsheet one. But so this is chart list. So I have everything ready to go. In the spreadsheets, it's bookmarked to here. And Okay, and this, is there anything? So this brings me to my next extension while I'm here. Well, while I'm in Stockcharts, let me show you this one. So that was this extension. So that's a really cool, thank you to the people who built this extension. I'm pretty sure it was free and it's really helpful for me. Thank you so much. It's great. So it's helpful for me. And then the other extension, I think this is the final extension I'll be mentioning. It's called context menu search, and this is the way it works. So sometimes when I'm doing research, I'm not like doing research, like sitting at the chair, at the desk, typing stuff up. Sometimes I'm just kicking back late at night, be drinking a beer, and I don't want to lean forward. I don't feel like leaning forward to type stuff in. I'm just tracking stuff, right? And so this was a cool extension I found where if you, let's say I'm in Stockcharts, just as an example. If I click in this little symbol field here and I highlight the ticker Apple and I right click and I go down to context menu search, now I can pull up some other website. And so this is Stockcharts. So maybe I'll say, this chart looks interesting, but now I want to see insider buying, right? And so it just pops up insider buying. I was taking a couple seconds. And there you go. And so there's the insider buying. So another shortcut method. Now, a more robust platform, this stuff should all be consolidated in one view, right? It's the same thing for the spreadsheets. I have all these spreadsheets and all these different websites, but in theory, this should all be in one single view. But again, individual investor, that's not an option. So I look for these types of shortcuts that I can streamline everything. And similarly, maybe I'll pop up, what's another one? Press release. I love to pop up, I don't want to type in, get the latest news for a company. So I have this search as Google for investor relations press releases. It actually is pretty good for ticker. Usually I type in the full name for a company. But there you go. So if I'm leaning back and you should have seen it in the tease video, I'm legit I kick my feet up and I'll just be scrolling through stuff, reading stuff. And these little extensions help me and they allow me to do that. I like to say they enable my laziness. So thank you to these extensions, and there's some other things too. And all right, so that's that. That was that final extension. And then I'm just going to show you, I'll show you a little bit more about some of the websites that I use. So I'm doing Stockcharts right now, and you can investigate as to how you customize your charts. Dashboard, was there anything else? No, that's really it. We'll get more into the chart aspects in a different video. I think that's it for Stockcharts. I mean, so Stockcharts is great. There's a lot of charting websites and tools and companies out there that you can use. I've looked into a whole bunch of them. Some of them aren't web-based or web-based solutions, and obviously I need that. So that was too bad. I couldn't utilize those because everything needs to be quick for me. Everything needs to be browser-based. And then so Stockcharts is great, but I got a couple bones to pick. And the first one is like if I'm looking at a chart list, I want to be able to see multiple charts in one view. Like right now, I like big charts. Usually that's what I like to see, just a huge big chart in my face, right? But sometimes I want to see a whole bunch of charts at the same time, like 6 in one view. And I know there's other charting tools out there that do that. I've seen them. And I've reached out to Stockcharts a long time ago, and they acknowledge me, but they don't build it out. So that's really something that would be great if you could add that if the user is building out a chart list or a custom view, whatever it is, that we should be able to set and what the view is. And I know they have certain ways to do this it's called like gallery view or something, but it's not the same thing. When I upload a CSV, because that's how I created all these chart lists. I need to be able to make that change. So anyway, now what is it? What is a video for complaining? It's not the point. So I apologize. So that's Stockcharts, and then OpenInsider, such a great website. If you made this website, please reach out to me. I'm so thankful to you. It's been an integral part of my process for years now. I mean, insider buying generally, you'll hear me talk about that. But OpenInsider, you made just a clean, basic website, and I'm sure so much of this was on purpose, so it just works. And thank you so much. And it's free. There's other insider tools out there too, but this one's great, and you can see like number of insiders who are buying, the total dollar amount, and just some other things. Check out this website; it's great. And then there's filters and stuff. You can check that out on your own time. All right, so then there's also WhaleWisdom, another great website. Thank you for making this website. There's a premium version that you can pay for, but there's also a free version that you can see the latest holdings for a company. Let's just, this is Apple. So if you go to Apple in WhaleWisdom, I'm mostly just looking at this view, and looks like I'll look at percent ownership. Apple's such a big company that these numbers are almost meaningless, right? All right, well, Berkshire Hathaway, that's a good one. And I'm looking at companies that who have a large ownership, percent of portfolio. That's a big one. And then any other aspects in this view? Not so much in this view. But what I'll do, so I'll look at those things, right? It's super helpful for small companies checking this out. But then let's take Berkshire, for example. If you click into Berkshire, you click into an actual fund's holdings, and then things I'll look at are percent ownership again. You like to, if there's a smaller fund or a smaller company you're looking into, you want, like if there's a firm that owns like 9% of a company, it's a small company too, and it's a firm that you respect, that's great news, because that means it's a high conviction for them. They're willing to own so much, and you tend to see it in some small companies. I like to see that percent change. If you're checking out fund changes over a quarter, you want to see which percent changes is the most over a quarter, right? Some of this stuff's obvious. I know that. I'm just showing on the website. This is what I'm looking at. And then percent of portfolio, right? That's obvious. Here's the largest positions of Berkshire. I think that's it. All right, that's it for WhaleWisdom. Thank you again for making this website. It's great. I appreciate it. I can't do so. It's built around Excel. If you could build it around some integrated tools with Google Sheets, that'd be terrific. But it's still cool. It's still fine. So right now I check out WhaleWisdom as opposed to integrating with the spreadsheets. But that's one thing that would be nice. And then actually, if you go to profile too, so I've bookmarked all these things. So at quarter end, if you see the top of my browser here, I go to funds. And so I grouped a lot of the funds that I check out, funds 1 and funds 2, and I can right click and open up in a new window all these fund holdings. And so some of the firms here that you'll see, like Scion Burry, right? I have a lot of overlap with Burry, especially more that I've gotten into technical analysis. I had a lot of overlap with him last year. It was kind of funny. Toll's a deep value firm I respect. A lot of overlap with them. Obviously, Einhorn, Fairfax, Baupost, Abrams. We just had a big win in Camping World. I know Abrams is heavily invested in that. That was a big win past couple of months. And then just some other folks too. Weber. I actually don't know who Weber is, but we invested a lot of the same small companies. Carl Icahn, when he's getting involved, right? Activist stuff. Not so much Berkshire. Not so much overlap there, but it's Buffett, so I'm checking it out. Happy Days, Perceptive, biotech stuff. That's one of the few biotech. I think that's the only biotech firm that's in my list here, but you can check them out for if you're looking into biotech firms. Areas, just a couple, and then just funds too. Some standard stuff. Hussman, I know. I'm sure if we open it up, he's probably got some gold positions at the top. He's got a pretty idiosyncratic approach. And some other one. Any others worth mentioning? O'Shaughnessy. I mean, what works on Wall Street, right? I get their books, and but they're so diversified. There's not too much overlap with these firms as much, but it's still sometimes. I don't want to say when I'm bored, but sometimes I'm like I'm screening around just looking for stuff. I try to read a lot, and I'll pop these ones up too. And then, while I'm on this topic I'm not ashamed to admit it, like a big part of my process is tracking the research of obviously other prominent value investors in particular, but also other individual investors, right? Like people who post on SeekingAlpha, people who post on blogs, not so much blogs these days, but even people who post on Twitter. I track their research of when they're knowledgeable analysts. Obviously, not everybody, but if they're knowledgeable analysts, I'm probably following your work. And thank you for sharing your work. Thank you for making it public. And so I got bookmarked. I got some people bookmarked here. This isn't everybody. I don't understand why I didn't do this before. So you'll see who I follow in SeekingAlpha and stuff. I just put some folks here into a bookmark so I could show you some. So Carson, I forget. I think it's Carson. Or Carson, he posts a blog, a lot of overlap with him. Jeremy Raper, super great. He's more of a credit analyst type, and I really respect that. Same thing for Jeremy Blum. Sorry, this is the thing about being an individual investor. Like, I don't know how to pronounce so many people's names, so many company names. I'll be invested in a whole bunch of companies. I don't even know how to say their name. Super embarrassing. And Steven Simpson, he publishes a lot of reports. And so not all these are... I don't even agree with the takes on a lot of these people, but when I check out their work, it's clearly there's thought that goes behind it, and I respect that. And even if we don't have the same take on a particular stock, I'll still check out their work. So this is the thing. There's so much stuff that gets published on SeekingAlpha and Twitter and really all over the internet, right? And I've learned that a skill you develop as you gain experience is you start to pick up on what's good research and what's not good research pretty quick. And like I can read a report, I don't know, let's say a SeekingAlpha article in like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and I can tell whether or not there's something there. Not always, right? But this isn't a critique of people who write those articles, because I would have written articles like that like 5 years ago. It's kind of like reflecting on what state of mind I was at 5 years ago and what I cared about at that time. And the me 5 years in the future is going to look back on my current analysis and think the same thing. So sometimes when I'll see someone's article, I try to gauge not so much how old they are, but where they are in their investment experience. Like, oh, this person's probably 5 years in, just like I was, or 10 years in. And then sometimes I'll see people, I'm like, all right, they're probably a better investor than me. So I better track their work, because I didn't think of it like that. So this isn't a comprehensive list. But you should do this. The point of this is not showing off these people, although thank you for sharing your work, but it's to say track people when you come across someone who it seems like it's legitimate analysis, and even if you don't sure if it's legitimate analysis, track their work. And then as time passes, in stocks work out or stocks don't work out, you start to develop a sense of whose analysis was legitimate, and then you can keep an eye on it. You're going to see me during the stream. I'm going to look at some of these people's articles and comments, and we're going to look at it. So I'm not ashamed. I just assume other people do it. If other people don't and I'm the only one, I guess that's kind of embarrassing, but you'll see. And not so much blog. I was going to mention blogs, but not so many blogs. Like blogs 5-8 years ago were super popular, but these days most people post on SeekingAlpha, or they post it directly on Twitter. A couple blogs out there, but not too many that overlap with my style. Yeah, anyway, I'm rambling. I'm sorry. I want these videos to be short and concise so people watch them, but I don't know. Sometimes I just start talking about a topic and I just want to keep going. So I don't even know where I was. Where was I? WhaleWisdom? All right, WhaleWisdom. Yeah, so I'm looking at a bunch of stuff. Thank you to the WhaleWisdom folks. And all right, so and then SEC website, right? I saw someone say no one looks at 10Ks anymore. I saw someone say that a couple months ago. I'm like, damn, might be some truth to that. I'm still looking at it, but it's still a go-to. Like I'm often looking at the DEF, like the proxy stuff, to see who's owned in the company. You can look there for compensation stuff, and I used to be big into that, thinking like whether we're aligned and stuff. I feel like it matters less, but you can check that stuff out in the proxies. And so related party transactions and stuff. I like to pull this up. I'm usually not digging too deep into it, but it is a go-to. And then obviously I'm looking at the SEC website most frequently for when I'm really dialed into a company and I don't want to miss anything. This is something that's missing from my spreadsheet, and I tried to include it, but like if I'm really want to follow a company, and this would have been super helpful a couple months ago, and when like everything's moving and I want to be updated immediately if there's a new filing for a company. Now, I know you can set up alerts in SEC. You can set up alerts with other websites. Even SeekingAlpha offers this. But I don't know. I wanted it to be as part of the spreadsheet. But that way, you'll see in the spreadsheets. But I'm coming in here if I'm really dialed into a company, I want to see if there's anything filed, that I'm actually reading all of the filings. Yeah, so 8Ks, news events and stuff. You all know SEC stuff, but this is another go-to website for me. That probably goes without saying. And then this silly things. I talk about my laziness, right? Here's a good example, like SEC website. You think so simple? Just go to the SEC website, type in the ticker, and right, and then boom. I don't like that. This is so silly. I don't like that I have to scroll down. I don't like that. So what I do is here's a tip for you. Here's a pro tip. If you want to open up a web page right to where you want it to be, you need to find the ID of that of that area. So in my case, if I type this again, watch this, SEC Apple, it's going to bring me right to there. I don't have to scroll down. So you're going to see this all throughout other websites too. And you need to find the right ID. So this was the content div ID. So what you do is you right click. This is in Chrome. Oh, this is another aspect of Chrome I can be showing. So inspect, grab this, highlight where you want to go, like this area right there. And then you got to just track down the ID. So dig in. That's not it. I got to go up one more level. Or am I off one? Oh, there it is. I was right there the whole time. Why didn't you? I wish y'all told me. Come on. So there it is, ID content div, and then what you do is you just add hashtag content div, and there it is. So let me just try that again. So you go there, but if I do this, so silly, right? And it's not as meaningful at a website like this. I mean, that's like, what did I saved 2 inches of scrolling, right? And but it's helpful for other websites. Like if I do it here. Oh, geez, look how long that URL is. Of course I do that. But watch this if I click down. So then I do hashtag results, and then it brings me right to the results, so I don't have to be scrolling. Same thing for WhaleWisdom, I do it. So if I do that one's hashtag listings underscore table sticky header. So again, the little things, they accumulate, and I start doing it so much that it starts to get annoying. That's the problem. I'm like, oh man, I just don't want to have to do it every time. So I can't do it for every website. Like SeekingAlpha, damn you built your website such that there aren't any IDs that I can make shortcuts for it. But all right, so that was just another Chrome thing. You can do that in other browsers too. Just the inspect is how you do it in Chrome. Okay, so that's the SE website. There's not much else to show here. Everyone knows the SEC website, right? All right, that's it. Okay, and then SeekingAlpha. Okay, so SeekingAlpha. All right, so what I'm looking at here is, so I couldn't have it. I wanted to show up right here when I open it up. I'm looking at the reports, and when you're looking at the reports, you want to look at the comments too. So the reports, you'll get a good feel. Like I said, with experience, you'll get a good feel, like what's a good report, what isn't. But if I'm really following a company, sometimes I'll get a big position, or I'm really curious about it. I'll read through everything, and then I read through all the comments, and then I get really into it. And then I'm looking at the news here, right? SeekingAlpha does a good job of, like, they post the news on there, and then they get the comments, so people might comment on the news as well. So that's what I'm doing here. And then I'm following people. So you can follow people. I don't think, am I following people now? Oh, right, I am following people now, right? Yeah, I don't think this is a complete list. I tossed some people on there. Oh, jeez. Shift Command T to open up a tab you just closed. Well, that's for a Mac. That's not Chrome. What am I talking about? And okay, the other nice thing in SeekingAlpha are the transcripts. So you go to earnings, you pull up the transcripts. I'm sure everyone does this already. This is 5 years ago, 7 years ago, whatever it was. This wasn't really built out. They've really done a good job of making sure all the transcripts are up and timely. And I think on the free version, if you don't have a premium version, what they do is they break the transcripts into multiple pages. And I do have a premium version now, but if I didn't, that would really annoy me, right? Because I don't want to be clicking all around, and you're going to see this in the spreadsheets, but I don't want to be clicking around each page. It's just so annoying and frustrating. And then if you want to Command F, that's a pain in the ass. So, but here, you can open it up, read the transcripts. Again, I'm not reading the transcripts of all companies I'm invested in, but if it's a big position and I really care and it matters to me, then I'll read through everything. Or I'll listen to the call too sometimes. Anything else in SeekingAlpha? Yeah, usually I'll follow companies. Same thing. If it really matters, I'll follow the company and get alerts to when they file something or there's a new article. That's important. Definitely do that. And there's probably other websites that have these alerts too. But the SeekingAlpha is the one I use. And there's I forget if I already said this. I apologize, but there's a lot of junk on here. But you just gotta gain experience and take the time to learn what matters and what doesn't. And then once you do that, then a website like this that aggregates everyone's research there's some really knowledgeable people on here. It's just great. And I know there's some other websites too, but if you have any, send them my way. If there's other websites that have a lot of good research, but most of the ones I come across, they just don't seem like a good fit. Or yeah, I won't get into it here. Okay, and then Twitter. Okay, so Twitter, what I'm using my extension there to pop this up, I have it open up on top because I'm just trying to get a feel for a company for the first time maybe, and so I just want the top posts, whatever it was. Now, Apple useless for Apple, right? So many people, including the Apple ticker in their Twitter posts. It's useless for a big company, but for a small company, you're not going to have as many posts. And usually, it's only weirdos like me who might be looking at stuff like that. So you might have like 8 posts on a company over the past week, and then not always. Usually, it's just bots, right? But sometimes it's like legitimate analysts trying to share their research, trying to share their views so other people will hop in. So thank you for those people who posted about obscure companies. But latest. So again, if I'm getting dialed into a company, I'm really trying to follow everything, then I'm on latest. And so much of this, just like Seeking Alpha, any of these sites, it's so much is junk. And I'm not bashing Twitter. It's just the nature of social media. What are you gonna do? It's really hard. Maybe in the future it will be easier as AI improves and stuff. But in the meantime, you're really just gonna block a lot of these accounts. And even then, it feels futile because new ones pop up. I don't even block as much as I used to. I just don't look as much. But latest is when I'm really dialed in. You want to follow every time someone posts about something. It's when you get in a little bit obsessed. Sometimes I get in that mode. All right, so that's Twitter. And what else can I say about Twitter is that I mean, I get a lot of news on Twitter. I feel like a lot of people do that these days. It's what sucks is that I'm not following anyone yet on this account. I'll follow them before I post these videos. And but I find there's some really good people. It's a great website. Everyone posts their views. And it points you in the direction of news and research, and so I'm on there a lot, and so that's often where I'll get my news. It will direct me to the news websites, and then I try to follow a diverse group of people. If I'm being honest, now as I think about it, I'm not sure how diverse their views are, but I do my best because you try to gauge sentiment too. I don't know. I wouldn't put much stock in this, but trying to gauge the sentiment of a lot of folks. Like maybe if they're really bullish or really bearish, and if it's a diverse set of groups, I don't know. I don't want to talk about it too much because it's really all theory, and it's not high. I don't have much confidence in trying to gauge sentiment or anything like that. But it's just good to just read through it, get people's feel, and but a lot for stock research and news and that type of thing. And then so many people there's so many content creators out there like creating really cool stuff and sharing. There's brilliant people on Twitter too, like sharing such great views, and it's a really good thing. I mentioned 2020 in one of my videos and how many resources we have available to us. Like this is one of them. You have like really bright minds on the other side of this sharing their expertise and stuff, and how great is that, right? It's just so great. You just gotta get past the garbage and stuff. Get past that stuff. Don't judge. Don't judge your website by its shittiest stuff. Judge it by its good stuff. And in that case, Twitter's great for that. And all right, so that's Twitter. There's probably some more stuff I should mention on Twitter and for all these websites, but I got to keep going. I don't even want to look at how just keep moving. All right, so FINRA bonds. Okay, so I didn't used to look at this too much, and I'm embarrassed by it, but like you have to look at it. If you're in Bloomberg, right, you have this stuff. It's Bloomberg Terminal and some other websites. You just have this stuff readily available to you. I'm happy for you. That's great. Individual investors don't have this, but FINRA has this. I guess it's powered by Morningstar or something. And here you go. So we'll look at GME. I got it up there. Show results, and look at this. You can see what the yield to maturity is on their debt. So for GameStop, they got some debt coming. It matures in 2021. They just did a debt exchange. I won't get into GameStop, and I'm not trying to analyze companies here, but it's an interesting price point considering the debt exchange that's going on here. But I love checking this out because it's just such a quick. It's so insightful. Just one little data point, right? Of depending on what the year is and what the yield to maturity is on their debt, as to what the credit risk is. It's so easy. You can do so much credit analysis. But I find it's super reliable when it gets into a certain level. When you start getting into price points like below 30 and stuff. I mean, you're a bankruptcy risk if you're at 50, right? It's a sliding scale. When I'm a deep value investor, I'd say. So I'll deal in some stocks that have really cheap bond prices. But anyway, it's just a quick check. If you pull up a company and you're looking at the balance sheet or something, and you're seeing like it's got like a sketchy balance sheet or stuff or whatever, and then you check out the bond prices and they're super strong. I mean, there's a lot of nuance here. I'm just speaking generally, but like it's like, all right, okay, so it's priced. The bonds are at least priced confidently by the bondholders, and priced confidently. That's not even a phrase. I don't know. I'm rambling on here, but the bondholders don't think that there's much of a bankruptcy risk, or they expect to get paid. But from a shareholder perspective, right, this is super important, because if the bondholders aren't expecting to get paid, then what chance do you have? I mean, that doesn't mean it's not a potentially good investment. It's just something to bear in mind. And I think I mentioned this in another video, but leverage is an important, it's probably the most important risk I need to assess as part of my process, because I'm frequently dealing in leverage companies, and bankruptcy risk is, when you're dealing with hairy companies, bankruptcy risk is like, that's what I'm focused on. And so the yield to maturity is just huge. So if you're not doing this, you got to do this. Check this out. And I could talk more about these. Maybe I feel like each of these should be their own videos. Videos getting so damn long, but I could talk a long time about this. This GameStop only has one bond here, but yeah, there's a lot more to say. It should be a conversation. All right, and so finally Moody's. And so Moody's rating, I don't have a Moody's account, but if you Google Moody's, I hope, Moody's, please don't remove this because of this, but if you just go, I know you're making a public for people to see, but if you Google Moody's and Moody's rating in a company, I did the ticker, right? But usually you do Apple or the full name. And then you can just see, they'll publish, I'll do Command and open this in a new tab here. You can see the research for a company. And Moody's, I have read this. I'm just gonna quickly scan ahead for the sake of the video, but you got to read this. I'm going to scroll down. When you get to the bottom, you can click agree, and then you can see the research for Apple. I know this is older, right? This is older research, but sometimes, and you can see like sometimes they only make certain ones public, but when they do, I read it. And I don't always agree with their analysis, but it's really helpful. Maybe I missed something when I was doing my research, and yeah, so I'll read through this. And yeah, anything, maybe some other credit agencies do too. I haven't looked in a while. Moody's is, yeah, I should check again because I do like to lead. Like I said, bankruptcy risk is a big one for me. So if anything I can read about, and this is why I like credit analysts too, like individual investor credit. Like if your focus is credit analysis, I really respect that because I feel like I could be better about that. So Moody's is a good resource for something like that. So that's it for websites. Is there anything else? I guess let me just go through. I'll go through a couple of my bookmarks here. So I use, I'm not doing this often, but I'll pull up investing.com for real-time prices. This is futures. So I'm not looking at futures much, but if the market's going crazy, going haywire and stuff, and you want to just check in, it's not, and everyone knows this, right? Everyone who looks at futures or deals in futures, you know this, but it's like sometimes you go to bed and be down 1%, then you wake up and it's up. Especially these days, I guess that's kind of the joke. But so anyway, there's money to be made this way. I'm not knocking futures traders or anything like that. It's just it's not my style, so I don't look at it too much. But I have been looking at it the past couple of months. And then obviously you can also, if it's a busy day and I want to be able to watch what the market's doing, I'll pull up investing.com's real-time prices and I'll just put, Bloomberg, you have it at your fingertips all the time, but I'll just minimize the screen and like put them in the bottom corner of my screen or something just so I can see those real-time prices. Not much. It's not like I'm trying to like day trade or stuff. Maybe a little, like there's some things that get on my nerve when I'm making a trade on the day. Like I hate making a trade in a stock when the intraday RSI, like 15-minute RSI, this is so silly because I'm a relatively longer-term investor, but it really ticks me off when I buy a stock and it's like overbought in the 15-minute RSI and then it pulls back in the day, and we're talking like 1% or 2%. It's so silly, right? It's almost negligible, but it just irks me a little bit. So I just keep an eye on the market, what's it doing, and I have minimal insights on this, so I guess it's more just a hobby. And then commodity prices. I don't really check out this web page too much anymore because you'll see on my spreadsheets I have a page dedicated to commodities so I can see what those daily moves are, and I'd probably pull up commodity prices that way. But it's on investing.com. Thanks investing.com for making these real-time prices freely accessible. Thank you to so if I'm not saying it for everybody, thank you so much and I know like a lot of these firms and people, they're in it for profit, right? I get that part. It's not lost on me, but I don't care. Like, as in, like, so much of this stuff is freely accessible to me and to you. This is why I feel obligated to share it because it's been so helpful to me. Not just investing.com, but especially the folks who post their stuff and who've built, in the small time folks who've built out like smaller websites like OpenInsider and WhaleWisdom and just like stuff like that. I really like it. I'm really appreciative because my process is built on it. So I want to be part of this group that like shares their stuff, shares their expertise so that other people can benefit too. So I hope this video is helping with that. Maybe a lot of this stuff so much you probably already knew, but maybe if you're new to it, you didn't, and that's okay. It's no big deal. But hopefully this helps. So that's, sorry, this video is going to be long. I apologize, but, all right, so that's just the FINRA bonds again, SeekingAlpha, Twitter. These are some of my spreadsheets. I won't get into that here. OpenInsider. Okay. Oh, I should have mentioned this. So OpenInsider is for. Another thing on US. Oh, sorry. You know what I should have done? If you go to the main page of OpenInsider, they do this where you cluster buys and stuff and top purchases of the week. Like, this is sick. This is sick. So basic, right? I know he just sums everything up, and it's basic, but it's super informative. And I am fortunate because I've built a lot of this stuff into my spreadsheets, which you'll see. But like, if you don't have the spreadsheets, you should be looking here. Forget like, you do track your own stocks to keep an eye on everything. But this is a very valuable resource. You used to be able to like track maybe you still can. I haven't seen Barron's in a while, like top insider transactions. They almost certainly still have it. I saw it not too long ago. And I used to look at that like 10 years ago, right? I'd be looking at, insider transaction stuff, right? And now I got the websites for it. It makes it so easy. But Barron's didn't have this in their newspaper, but here's latest insider purchase. I'm not looking at sales too much. I mean, you probably have heard this, but you're selling for a whole bunch of reasons, but the buys. But like the cluster buys, that's sick. Top officer purchases. So it's not so much board or activists and stuff. So like stuff like this is great. It's so great. Oh man, nerd alert, right? But OpenInsider US stocks. That's a drawback of it, and I get it because SEC is probably, you can pull data from there more easily. Canadian stocks and international stocks. I wish I could deal in more international stocks. I just don't have access to all like the data, and I'm always talking about like broadening my universe. It's kind of inexcusable. I'm not dealing in more international stocks. I'll just get my reason is because I just don't have enough data. I don't have access. Anyway, on the insider buying front, this is U.S. stocks. I deal in quite a few Canadian stocks, and so if you want to track Canadian stocks, you got to go to insidertracking.com. And there you go. So Canadian firms, they have to file with, I think, CEDAR. I think that's what it's called. And their filings are public, but you kind of got to jump through hoops to investigate that stuff. It's a little bit annoying. CEDAR, if you could make it a little bit easier to pull stuff from your website, it'd be great. Be appreciated. But in the meantime, there are some websites that offer Canadian Insider. So here's one. Let me pull up someone who does have some buying that I definitely... Where's Methanex? I know Methanex there. They get some buying from a fund. So if you pull them up, you can see, you get to create an account, and then you have I think you have to have an account. That's the deal. And then you can scroll down. You can only see 6 months though. So you need to keep your eye on the Canadian firms, which usually isn't too much, but if they're filing a lot, gets to be a little bit of a hassle. Then you get to click show filings. I don't like the clicks. Lazy, right? So silly. But it's available to you. So if you come across a firm and it looks cheap or whatever, check out insidertracking.com, create your account, and when you type in the ticker, you got to be careful. Like if you do Methanex, they're going to have two tickers. MIO, that's on the U.S. exchanges, and then you got to do like Astra CA or something. You'll learn this, but that's that website. And let's see, I did WhaleWisdom. All right, those are just all right. So I'm not looking at this, but I used to look at this. If you go to Fidelity, they have like a cool thing where you can see historical performance of select sectors. Well, all sectors, but actually everything, sector and industry. And you can see, kind of fun, right? You learned, as one of the first things you learn is, you want to be dealing in the industries that are beaten down. Well, heads up, sometimes you'll invest in an industry that's been beaten down 5 years and you get the shit kicked out of you for another 5 years, just a heads up. But still, I get the sentiment. You want to deal in stuff that isn't in favor most of the time. But that's cool. Check that out. I don't look too much these days. I have it internalized as to what's performing well and what isn't. And now I'll just look at the charts. Like this is just a table, right? Still, maybe if we're bored, we'll check it out on the stream. It can be fun to just check out. Nerd alert. Okay, so that's that. YouTube accounts, news, checked out news. I'm not looking at these too much. I just wanted to put some news websites in there. I should look at that more. Is that like it should be, I wish there were a little bit more. I don't want too much structure in my process, but I should have a bit more structure. There should be, per day, it should be like, I should spend at least just 10 minutes looking at headlines and stuff. I've been leaning on Twitter more, but yeah, anyway. Funds, I showed you the funds, analysts, monthly, so this will be more for the spreadsheet video, I think. But what I can do is I told you about the chart lists. I have everything bookmarked here, so at weekend, for example, I might do this. And the week, open a new window, and these these relate to a certain section of the spreadsheet that you'll see. So remember this part when we get to the spreadsheets. But this is the Roaring Kitty model portfolio. This isn't up to date. I was going to show you this in the like New Gold. This is speculative. This isn't totally up to date. Yeah, we'll get more into the Roaring Kitty portfolio in a separate video. I don't want to spend too much time on this here. But what's this? Roaring Kitty buy? I won't get into the Roaring Kitty stuff here. But like 1 week gainers, 1 week losers. I got to manually update that stuff. Dashboard. And what's this? Dashboard risks. Okay, so, and this is kind of in order as to how I want it. So this is like a whole bunch of charts that play into risk. I don't want to get into it too much here, but anyway, just some charts that I want to just track on a weekly basis. And I know a lot of people check these out. I want to look at them more than I currently do to try to just gauge risk levels and stuff. That's for these charts. And there's a whole bunch of other like obscure things. I don't want to scroll through all the charts right now, but here's some debt. I'll compare debts, U.S. bonds versus U.S. stocks, like things like this. There's a ton of charts in here. I don't want to do this now, but this is my point: is that just open up all these charts. Maybe we do it on a weekly basis, regions and stuff. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. All right. That's it for that. What else? Go to the charts: weekly, daily. Yeah, and then so that's weekly, and then daily. I don't want to do the Roaring Kitty portfolio. Like you're gonna see, like New Gold top position, like that's a really speculative company. I don't want you to get the wrong idea when you see this. Think I'm a gold bug or something like that. This isn't up to date, but I can explain. Let me explain why New Gold's my top position. But like it's helpful if the market's moving or something like that. It's helpful to just scroll through the charts either on a daily basis or on a weekly basis and kind of just see what they're doing, how they're moving, and then a potential buy list and sell list and so forth. We'll get into that later. And then reports. So these are all, and then everything that's left is spreadsheets. We'll get into that more later. The only other thing I'll pop up here is like, so, and I'll touch on this in the other video too, but like we're going to be dealing in Google Sheets. You need to know like, here's some just additional websites you can check out. They relate to building out powerful Google spreadsheets. I mean, if you're doing this, many of you will already know all these Google Sheet functions. And here's a website you can use as a resource. I kind of know a lot of these already, but just something to check out if you want to start exploring these more deeply. And then if you want to build unnecessarily complex spreadsheets, you're probably going to be leaning on scripts. And here's websites you can do to learn about scripts a bit more. But you know where I find I learn the best is like StackOverflow. I'm sure many of you know StackOverflow, but I would check it so much. So when I'm building out the spreadsheets, here's another thing. Let me just thank everybody who, not just these websites and stuff, but just the people who share the knowledge. I talked about analysts, right, in the finance world, but like let me do StackOverflow. Let me just do scripting, right? So that's a search engine feature that I have. I search in Stack Overflow so often. I type in scripting. I do just Google Sheets and then cite Stack Overflow, and then and so I would check out Stack Overflow, and like people, I'd post a question and they would help me out and provide insight and provide guidance. I'm nobody. I'm just a random person on the internet, and they're willing to help me out. Not everybody, right? It's not like everyone's charging to help out a rando internet person, but people do it. And so thank you to Stack Overflow people, Google Forums people. I have posted tons of questions about Google Sheets, and just thank you for sharing your expertise and helping out a new scripter. And I hope I wasn't taken, like I feel like some people think, oh, you just try to take advantage of the situation, right? I'm genuinely trying to learn, and people would like point me at, hey, you will probably want to try this with your script, and then I try that with the script, and then I'm truly learning. I can use that expertise building out other scripts, and my scripts have gotten more and more complex, but it kind of just started with some basic questions, so I'm always so thankful when people nudge me in the right direction, and I hope to be one of those people with Roaring Kitty. But yeah, Stack Overflow, with the Google Forums, that's mostly it, but there's tons of websites out there. I just say look for the people who are willing to help. That's what I'm saying. Like people are always shitting on a lot of websites and it's garbage that's out there, but judge these things by the best aspects of it. That's all. I'll get off my soapbox at the end of this, but just thank you to everybody. I think that's everything. Yeah, I think that's everything. How long was this video? Damn. I wanted the Sheets video to be super long. I don't know. I'm going to have to upload this as is. I apologize to everybody. Hopefully you dig Roaring Kitty and that you don't mind watching this much. But if you do, I apologize. It's just, I just start rambling sometimes. I just get going. So good luck with the stream, because if you're not into that, it's going to be a tough time. And yes, that's it for this video. So tune into the spreadsheet video. Really, if you're going to only watch one of these two videos, you got to watch the spreadsheet video. How helpful is that? I'm telling you at the end of this video. Damn. But I'll see you at the spreadsheet video. I didn't record that one yet. I'm going to do that one next. And thank you so much for watching if you hung in there. And thank you for everyone out there who helps. And I'll see you later. Peace out.